Valve's update has been out for a couple of days now, and if we want to look at the overall market, obviously the sentiment is not necessarily positive. Price Empire implemented a prediction system, and right now about 80% of people are leaning towards a bearish outlook on just the market as of today. And if we want to look at our overall market cap, it is potentially at $3 billion. Now I want to be very clear, all the prices in these videos are very subject to change, especially right now. Obviously, a lot of these are changing by the minute. We can look at a graph like this. This is just the danger zone graph. You can see the massive swings that have happened in the past 24 hours, and this is just for one item that's relatively medium liquidity. Compare that to every single thing we talk about, and there's going to be a lot of differences in price. Some of them are probably going to go up, and some of them could go down even further. We don't exactly know. What I will say is definitely make sure you're checking these prices the second that you're wanting to do something, because these are changing by the minute, like we just mentioned. A lot of these items are potentially down 70% in the past week, and some items are only down 30%. It ranges significantly, and you got to make sure you know exactly what you're looking at when you're getting the most updated information, and you can only do that by checking it out yourself on the Steam market. Skinland is today's sponsor, and they're also sponsoring you with their brand new instant sales system. Starting off today, you're going to be getting a free $10 on your first trade, and you're going to be able to get that money instantly. It's not going to take 7 days to get paid with Skinland. You can do it in just minutes after Valve's latest update. Best part is they've got tons of different payout options, and don't forget to use code MasterShiny to get everything you're looking for. They're the safest option if you're looking to sell your CS2 skins, plus their massive marketplace offering every single thing you're looking for if you're trying to buy CS2 skins as well, and a ton of different deposit options. So don't wait, use code MasterShiny and get paid instantly for your CS2 skins. Now let's break it down everything about our knife market. Now obviously these prices are not in a great financial position. If you want to look at something like the butterfly knife fade, this thing was near $5,000 cash price. It is currently sitting at around $1,400 in buff price. Now obviously these prices are going to be drastically different depending on what website you look at. Obviously some websites are going to have a little bit of a higher price, but no one's going to be buying or selling at that price. It's really important that honestly you check out the Price Empire price at this moment. I think that's going to be the most accurate representation you can find, and it's honestly a relatively updated web service. You're not going to be waiting a long time to see the updated prices, and there's a lot of really good areas you can check out with hidden gems inside of this. A little off topic from the knives, but something like the Desert Eagle Blaze has not been really impacted by this update much. It's still down 50% if you wanted to get into one of those. Now coming back to our knives and our gloves here, obviously we can see some pretty drastic drops, especially for the ones that were already expensive to begin with. We're seeing a 70% drop for something like the Pandora's boxes, the Hedge Maze, a lot of these really desirable gloves, and some knives as well. Obviously, if you want to look at the future, we've got this big looming date that's going to be October 30th. That is the first day that all these skins that were done with trade up restricted items are going to be able to hit the market. Remember, if you just bought your reds off the market, you're going to have to wait 1 week before you can throw those items back up for sale. But if those items didn't have a trade lock when you put them into a trade up, you're not going to have a trade lock on the outcome. It's why we have definitely seen a lot of these prices fall immediately, but also we're going to probably see these prices potentially fall a little bit more in the future. Now talking about the most important day that's going to be coming down to the CS market, potentially its lowest point, potentially the time we see it start to rebound, that's going to be October 30th. That's because all of these items that were done on the 23rd or 22nd are getting released from their trade lock that day. We're going to be able to see everything at that point. Now obviously we are down potentially 50% from our all-time high if you're looking at a $3 billion market cap, which, let's be completely honest here, that is a major drop, but that's also only 1 year of growth. Being relatively strong, this market has shown that it's quite resilient, and the fact that we've only lost nearly a couple, maybe a year and a half of growth off of the biggest change in CS2 history is a really strong sign for the market. Now, a lot of investor confidence is gone because of this, and that's not able to be denied in any single way, and I definitely think this is going to drastically shape up the market. This is the biggest drop we have ever seen, but that's also because the past year is the biggest year of growth we've ever seen. We went from a $3 billion market cap to a $6 billion market cap in the span of just over 1 year and 1 month. Let's be completely transparent. That is a crazy amount of growth you're not going to find anywhere else, and it's definitely something that was probably going to get rocked one way or another. Now, obviously, if you want to look at some investments, not everything is down 50%. It's not spread equal. We're going to talk about that in a quick second, but it's why it's very important that you invest into the specific items you do, because some items are down 75% and my items are down potentially 30%. Now, obviously, they're still down, but they are in a position where they are still relatively strong, in my personal opinion. Now, let's talk about our case market, because this is the most interesting area out of all of these, because honestly, it is looking the strongest. Now, don't get me wrong, obviously, the case market is down, and the majority of these cases are down a pretty fair amount. Like, there is no denying the fact that these cases are potentially 25 to even 35% cheaper, depending on which one specifically you're going to be looking at. but I want to look at exactly what these prices are, and that's the fact that they have, relatively speaking, rebounded from their lows at a decent level. Now, they're not necessarily going to stay stable at these prices. Obviously, this is still a very volatile market. We have no clue what these prices are going to be looking like in a day. No one does. But the good news is we're seeing these dips and then we're seeing the recoveries right after. We're not seeing a perpetual dip. And that's extremely important because it shows that there is still a lot of people interested in buying up these rare cases, these discontinued cases, these cases that we know long term are great investments. Obviously, this is a completely new dynamic and we don't know exactly what's going to happen. But I think honestly, if you can get in on some of these cases at a super cheap price point, I would say that there is a really good chance long term you're going to be in a great position. Now, like everything we're talking about here, this is very subjective information. I highly suggest you use the data I talked about in my previous video to help you make the best investment possible. Those are all the resources I use, and at the end of the day, it's not guaranteed by any means. There is no guaranteed profit as what's shown by here outside of grinding out the Armory Pass because you're exchanging your time for money. Very clear, there is no guaranteed profit in CS2 investing. I really like this situation long term. When we're talking about our rare cases, they have dropped down a lot and they have lost the biggest pinnacle of their value at the end of the day when it comes to unboxings, but this is not necessarily the most important thing. What's important is people keep opening up cases, and I don't think they're going to be necessarily stopping just because of this update. Obviously, in the short term here, we're seeing some pretty drastic impacts, but come long term, when it costs them maybe $400 to do a trade up for a knife of that case, or it only costs them $12 to unbox that case, they might be opting to unbox that case and potentially get one of those reds at the end of the day. I don't see that as impossible, and that's a really good sign. At the end of the day, the most important thing to come out of all this is the fact that Valve has really lost the investor confidence, but at the end of the day, Valve doesn't care about their investor confidence. It only impacts us here in the market, and that's the most important thing people need to realize. It's not necessarily that Valve is trying to kill off investors. Valve is trying to optimize themselves making more money, and I don't necessarily agree with it, but something like this, if we can find a way to adapt to it, shows the extreme resilience and the extreme strength of this market as a whole. Like I mentioned earlier, we've only lost 1 year's worth of growth, which is definitely not what I want to see as an overall CS2 market cap dynamic. And then we look at the fact that we can see also there is a lot of potential because of this. I think honestly this could be a very quick, easy way for a lot of people to make a lot of value depending on if they're getting into the right items, and we see this rebound come happen. I'm not guaranteeing anything. I'm not saying anything's going to happen, but let's be honest, these things are down 70% in some areas, and there's other investments that are down 50% just because investor confidence is lost. And right now it could be a great opportunity to check those out, especially if you're still wanting to be involved in this market. If the most important thing you do right now is listen to this, make sure you're not panic selling off your items just to panic sell. I will say there is a huge profit opportunity with this, but it really comes down to the fact of if you're willing to weather it out and if we see this rebound come. That's all I got. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.